Good afternoon. It is afternoon, isn't it? Yeah, good afternoon. My name's Gordon Frederick Coggon. I'm a British nuclear veteran, and I was at Christmas Island in 1957, 1958. And Christmas Island is now called Kiribati. And it's now 67 years or more since I was at those tests, those H-bomb tests. In all the experiences of my life, there hasn't been any that came anywhere near the trauma that those two hydrogen bombs had on me and thousands of other guys. We are almost extinct now. There's only a few of us left. I'm 83 now, and of course many of my veteran friends have died early or suffering from an early age from radiation caused diseases. It's a fact that many of these diseases have been proven, although the British government do not admit that. We was only 18 or 20-year-olds, so you can imagine what we felt like, not knowing what to expect. An hydrogen bomb, I'll try and describe it later into this talk. An hydrogen bomb is no mean thing to see. It's terrifying. Some of the stories that were going round prior to the bomb going off was really frightening as well. You know what young lads are like. They frighten each other. Some were saying the island would get blown off its coral stem and the island tip upside down, things like that, or the aircraft would crash on takeoff, which was carrying a bomb, and blow us to smithereens. Others say that the bomb would drop into the sea and cause a tsunami, which would flood the island and us with us. You know, things like that, all added to the terrorising thing in your head, if you like, before it happened, before we even actually knew there was going to be an hydrogen bomb test. We weren't told when we went to Christmas Island that was what we were going for. We wasn't told anything. Everything was secret. You couldn't even write home about it. You couldn't tell your mum, your dad, anybody, because at the threat of breaking an Official Secrets Act and going to prison for a long, long time. You'll excuse me, I keep looking at my notes because I'm an old man now, and I'm not very good at talking, so I have made some notes. The island itself was only 5 foot above sea level, so you can imagine how we felt. The Pacific Ocean all around us, and nothing for 1,500 miles away. That was the nearest land, apart from the odd island here and there, which, like Malden Island, where they exploded some of the grapple series, that was 600 miles away. But Honolulu and Hawaii, that was about 1,500 miles away. And Christmas Island, or Kiribati, is about 2 degrees north of the equator. So you can imagine it's pretty hot as well. And the island is covered with coconut trees. It was called Christmas Island because Captain James Cook discovered it when he was doing a world voyage. Anyway, the test came, first Grapple X in November the 8th, 1957, followed by Grapple Y, which I'll tell you about later. We'll first tell you about Grapple X. Prior to the explosion, we were seated at the main camp, or near the main camp, in the more or less middle of the island, with our backs to where the explosion would be, which was going to be dropped by a Valiant V-bomber, and it was going to be exploded in the atmosphere about 20 miles from the southeast tip of the island, which was initially, I would say, around 35 miles to where we were from where the explosion took place. But remember, it was exploded at altitude. So in fact, when it exploded, it seemed to be coming right over our heads. Anyway, I'll give you it as far as I can remember exactly the truth of what really happened. We'd already had 2 dummy runs, so we knew more or less what to do. There was tannoys, or I don't know if you know what tannoys are. They're loudspeakers strung up all over the island, so we could hear a broadcast from the aircraft that was dropping a bomb directly through air traffic to us who were sitting waiting for it to happen. So we could hear everything the pilots were saying. And the controller, he was coming on and telling us what to do and giving us countdowns when to do it, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so on, which I'll explain in a moment. Anyway, the final day came, the 8th of November, and we sat there with our backs, sat in the sand with just KD tropical clothing on, just normal working clothing. Our barrettes, which we didn't wear normally, we were told to put our barrettes on. We were also told to wear aircrew sunglasses, which we'd been issued with prior to going to the island, and we were to wear them. And the controller said, just follow the instructions like we're telling you and do exactly as you did on the dry runs. So the first thing that happens, the tannoy bursts into life saying, the Valiant is now at Point Charlie, downwind to the drop. Cover your eyes with your hands and your glasses, cover your glasses and your eyes with your hands. Tuck your head into your knees like that and keep them covered till I tell you to move them. And this is what we did. And the tannoy burst into life. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's when things started happening, and I didn't know what the heck to do, because to be honest, I was absolutely terrified, because I could see bones in my hands. I could see bones in front of my eyes. And I thought, we're being burnt alive, and I could feel heat travelling through me, as if somebody was holding an electric fire or something and pushing it through you. That's how it felt, literally. And I was that frightened, I went like that and lifted my glasses, and I couldn't see nothing. Everything was as white as this paper. You couldn't see the trees that I was leaning against. You couldn't see the men that were all around me. You couldn't see nothing, just white, complete whiteness, like staring at a white page in front of your eyes. I thought I'd gone blind. In fact, I thought I was burning up. And that is exactly how I get my nightmares. Since the bomb, I have had frequent nightmares. They're not as many now as what they used to be. I used to have one a month. Probably I get one a year now, or maybe less. But when it comes, it's as if I'm in a white fog, and these hands are coming to me, and they're bony hands. And I get that in a dream, and I wake up shaking. literally shaking. Right, the next thing that happens is the countdown starts. The man on the tannoy says, I'm going to start counting down now. When I get to 0, you can stand up and look around at the explosion. And at this time, this shadow, this whiteness started to fade, and I couldn't see my hands anymore, and the heat had gone through me. Only lasts a few seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds, something like that. And then it's gone. But at the time it seems to be never ending. Anyway, as this voice came, it was a big relief to hear that tannoy, because I thought we were all dead. I honestly did. I could hear men screaming and shouting for their mums. I felt like doing it. I thought I'd finished. I thought I was done. Anyway, we were still alive, thank God. But the tannoy started counting down, and he's counting down from 25 this time. He got to 0 and we all stood up, turned around, and oh my God, I'm sorry for swearing, but if you'd have seen it, we were looking up there because it was above us and it was growing massive across the horizon, growing all the time. And it was like a sun, like our sun, exactly like our sun, but 20 times bigger. And slowly, as we was watching it, it was turning from that brightness, what you can't look at, like looking at a sun, to a dull yellow, then a dark red, and then slowly going darker and darker, orange, into like a glow, if you like, through a black cloud. And the cloud was erupting like smoke coming out of a volcano. It's curling round and getting bigger and bigger and expanding all the time. And then, whilst we were watching it, a stem appeared from below the cloud. It must have been a mile wide, and it was reaching down towards the treetop horizon, towards the Pacific, into the sea. And for all the world, it looked like a giant tornado coming towards us to suck us up. That's what it looked like. Suddenly, as well, at the same time, from the base of the, halfway between the stem and the base of the cloud, there was this halo working outwards, just a ring, leaving clear blue sky as it came towards us, evaporating all the fluffy white clouds in the sky and leaving the sky completely blue. And as it come over the top of us, there was this crash, bang, wallop, as if, well, the whole island shook. You could not imagine anything louder. The island shook, the crack was like the crack of doom. And it blew us at the same time off our feet. Some say it blew them, rolled them over and over. It blew me over, but it didn't make me roll over and over. It blew me over. But I did get cracked on the elbow with a frond from the coconut tree. A lot of people got hit with coconuts. A lot of people got slashed across the face with flying debris, and even people's sunglasses was blown off the face and so on, and hitting people. But the most dangerous things happening was the debris, the tree, the coconuts, and things like that. And there were a lot of people went to sick quarters. I remember I had to go myself with a cut on my elbow. My mate, he got slashed across his side of his cheek with something, I don't know what it was. And the tents was in disarray, there was crumpled in corners and whatnot. I don't think anybody had their tent blown away, because before the bomb we had to take the sidewalls down, so the blast went through and not took the tent, you know, and we had to fasten all our belongings down. But the church roof was destroyed. It had a palm frond, what the local population had made a palm frond. Incidentally, I'm talking about the local population that lived there and worked on the coconut plantation and so on. They were taken on board ships, along with the two ladies that was on main camp. They was two WVS ladies, sisters. I forget their names now. Burgess, the sisters Burgess. They were actually sisters, and they were WVS, Women's Voluntary Service, and they was all taken with these civilians onto ships and shown cartoons during the bombing. And I don't know where they took them on the ship, probably well away from the island anyway. But that was at the port. The port's about 12 miles away from where we were. There was a mixed array of people there. We got Commonwealth soldiers, RAF, Navy, Marines, the lot, but mostly on the main camp were the soldiers, the Air Force. The Navy was at the port of London, where they took all the supplies for the island and so on. But the soldiers built the runways and all that, and the roads, and did all the heavy excavating and things like that. Usually the airmen like myself were general cargo unloaders or tent erectors or whatever. Me, I was just an admin orderly. When I joined up, I was initially national service, because I didn't want the low pay which they offered. I think it's £2.15 or something like that. I said, "Oh, can I sign on and get more?" And they said, "Yeah, if you sign on, you can join the RAF and serve the army if you want." I like the sort. I like the idea of aeroplanes and things like that. So I said, "Oh, can I join the Air Force?" They said, "Yes, if you like, if you sign on." So I initially signed on for 3 years then, instead of the 2.5 years national service. But the big thing that they didn't tell me about that was, if I only signed on for 3 years, they would not give me a trade. But they offered me this fancy name, admin orderly, like I've just mentioned. It's a jack of all trades and master of none. You're everybody's command. You do exactly what anybody wants you to do. So I had to clean lavatories for one thing. Not all the time. Everybody had to take a turn in that sooner or later. You'd get it for being a bad lad or something like that. Duties like that, normally. But as I say, I spent most of my time erecting tents or unloading supplies off aircraft, or washing up in the sergeant's mess or one of the messes. Anything they could bung on to somebody who didn't want to do it, they'd give it to you, if you're an admin orderly. But anyway, that sums it up for the X-ray bomb. The grapple wires are a little different. We had protective clothing for that, white cotton overalls and dark out glasses. The only difference was I had to go to sick bays for that, because I was blinded for a week. Because of the dark glasses and the white anti-flash suit, I never felt a thing, and that's the truth. And it was a bigger bomb. So I lifted my glasses, looked, temporarily blinded for 3 weeks, couldn't see a thing. And the other thing about it was, it rained like hell that night. and the only cloud in the sky was the remnants of the H-bomb that had been let off in the afternoon. There was a little more I wanted to say, if I've got time. After Grapple X, in the afternoon, I had to go and wash a Camber aircraft. And it had just flown through the cloud, taking samples. So it was red hot with gamma radiation. And I had to wash it by hand, but not the whole aircraft. The biggest part of the aircraft was washed with the high pressure hoses by the fire service, which then I wasn't a part of. Later on in life I became a RAF fireman, but not there. And I had to wash the engine nacelles because they weren't allowed to direct the jets of these high pressure hoses onto the engine turbines, or it would break the blades. So without any protective equipment, there was a remote breathing apparatus which was broken. The head straps was broken on it, so they wouldn't allow me to use them. So they made me a crude version of a modern day martingale mask, which I had to remove because it got soaked in water and I couldn't breathe through it. So I probably breathed in gamma radiation isotopes, which gives off alpha particles. Alpha particles last 24,000 years. That's the half-life of them. And I probably swallowed them. Now alpha particles can't get out of your body once they're in. They can't penetrate human skin. So if you breathed them in or took them in through swimming, or in my case, some of the water that splashed off into my face off this aircraft, or even the rain from the bomb cloud, or anything, something we've eaten. But as I say, they can't go in through your skin. Now they remain there for quite a long time. And over the ages, it's been proved, they do affect your genes. And they can also give you cancer. They damage your cells. And my children have been damaged. I've been damaged. I've had prostate cancer. Many men have died early with cancers. And it is being proved all the time now that people are dying from these diseases caused by radiation. And it's been proved that our children now, and this is why I'm so adamant about it and so angry about with our government not recognising us, our cause, our children are affected and their genes are affected and their children are going to be affected, and this radiation isn't going to go away. I'll leave it at that because I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Thank you very much.
Just one thing, Gordon. What do you think the atom bomb has done to you afterwards?
The what, sorry?
What do you think the bombs have done to you afterwards in your life?
The bombs?
What have they done to you? Have they give you headaches, anything like that?
Oh my goodness, I've had prostate cancer. I lost all my teeth not long after. I had a scoliosis of my back, which they never found when I joined up, and you have an extensive medical when you join up. They never saw my bent spine. I've had cataracts removed. I've got type 2 diabetes. Oh, I've lost my hearing. I can't blame it all on the bombs, I suppose, but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I think that's about it, Eric.